Clara Montero is a 45-year-old woman known for her commanding presence and striking personality. She's a central figure in the business world, a true mogul who built her tech empire from scratch. From a young age, Clara showed a natural talent for leadership and business, which led her to found her first company at 25. Her strategic vision and ability to anticipate market trends quickly transformed her startup into a multinational corporation worth billions. Standing tall at around 5 feet 9 inches, Clara is always impeccably dressed in haute couture, exuding power and sophistication. Her dark brown hair is always perfectly styled, and her icy blue eyes seem to analyze every detail around her. She's a constant presence on business magazine covers and in headlines, known as much for her success as for her ruthless nature. Despite her brilliant career, Clara is a controversial figure. Her confidence borders on arrogance, and many consider her distant and cold. In meetings, she rarely shows emotion, except for discontent or disapproval. Her subordinates both fear and respect her, fully aware that any mistake could be fatal to their careers. Clara demands excellence from everyone around her and does not tolerate failure, creating a high-pressure environment where only the best survive. However, this success comes at a cost. Clara faces significant challenges in her personal life. Her marriage ended in divorce, largely due to her near-total dedication to work. She has 2 teenage children with whom she maintains a distant, formal relationship. Occasionally, Clara reflects on these personal losses but quickly pushes those thoughts aside, convincing herself that the sacrifices are necessary to maintain her empire. Professionally, Clara is also under intense pressure. Recently, a product launch that was supposed to revolutionize the market failed, leading to a significant drop in the company's stock and investor confidence. The shareholders are restless, demanding quick and concrete results. Clara knows her position is on the line and that she needs to turn things around swiftly to maintain her grip on the company. Isabel Ferreira, a woman in her 40s, is Clara's discreet and efficient secretary. Since starting at the company, Isabel has kept a low profile, always focused on her work and avoiding the spotlight. Standing at around 5 feet 5 inches, Isabel has light brown hair she wears in a simple bun and discreet glasses that give her an intellectual air. Her style is modest, with formal, sober clothing that reflects her reserved nature. Isabel is an exemplary professional, always organized and prepared for any eventuality. She possesses a serene calm that contrasts sharply with Clara's intensity. Isabel rarely talks about her personal life or her previous career, but those who pay attention notice small hints suggesting a remarkable past. For instance, in casual conversations, she mentions traveling to exotic countries and having contacts in high business circles, which seems unusual for someone in her current position. There's something enigmatic about Isabel. Despite being constantly underestimated by Clara and other colleagues, Isabel observes everything attentively and demonstrates remarkable wisdom and discernment in critical moments. Her colleagues see her as a kind but enigmatic person who avoids the limelight and maintains a humble demeanor. However, there are moments when a simple comment or suggestion from Isabel solves complex problems that even the most experienced executives couldn't. The work environment at Clara's company headquarters mirrors her personality: modern, sophisticated, and demanding. Located in a skyscraper in the financial district, the offices are elegantly decorated with designer furniture, contemporary art, and cutting-edge technology. The glass walls symbolize transparency and openness, but also create a sense of constant surveillance. The atmosphere is intense and focused, with employees moving quickly, each conscious of the high expectations Clara has for everyone. The relationship between Clara and Isabel is complex and marked by constant tension. Clara sees Isabel primarily as a useful tool, efficient and reliable, but underestimated in terms of potential. Clara frequently makes condescending remarks, assuming Isabel has no ambitions beyond her current role. In meetings, Clara rarely acknowledges Isabel's work, despite heavily relying on her organization and preparation. Isabel, on the other hand, maintains a professional and respectful posture, never responding to Clara's provocations but observing everything with attention. She seems to accept her subordinate role with a patience many don't understand, but there are moments when a glimmer in her eyes suggests she knows more than she lets on. Isabel has a quiet and efficient presence, indispensable in the daily operations of the company, but always behind the scenes, away from the spotlight Clara monopolizes. This power dynamic creates constant underlying tension. Clara believes she is in absolute control, while Isabel performs her role with silent efficiency, allowing Clara to maintain that illusion. However, there's a growing sense that Isabel is always one step ahead, understanding more about the business and the people around her than Clara realizes. This unequal relationship is about to change dramatically as secrets are revealed and true identities come to light. It was a sunny but cold Monday morning. High in the corporate building housing the company's headquarters, Clara Montero sat in her office, strategically positioned with a view of the city. She was reviewing recent performance reports, her serious expression reflecting the concerns that had haunted her since the last product launch failed. Isabel Ferreira, always punctual, entered the room with a stack of documents. Her silent, efficient walk barely interrupted Clara's concentration, who looked up only when Isabel was about to leave. "Isabel, wait a moment," Clara said, her voice firm and authoritative. Isabel stopped immediately, maintaining her professional posture. "Yes, Ms. Montero?" Clara observed Isabel for a moment, evaluating her with a look that mixed curiosity and a touch of condescension. "I have an important dinner this week with the senior shareholders. I need you to be there." Isabel felt a chill down her spine. She was rarely invited to such formal and high-level events. Her mind started working quickly, trying to understand the reason behind the unexpected invitation. "Of course, Ms. Montero. It would be my pleasure," she replied, hiding any trace of hesitation. "Great," Clara responded with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "The dinner will be at La Belle Époque on Friday at 8 p.m. Make sure you dress appropriately. This is an important event for the company." When Isabel returned to her desk, her thoughts were spinning. She knew Clara never did anything without a reason. The invitation wasn't just a courtesy. There was an intention behind it. Isabel suspected Clara planned to use her in some way during the dinner, possibly to divert attention from the company's recent problems or even to humiliate her in front of the shareholders. Despite these suspicions, Isabel remained calm. She knew she had to be prepared for any eventuality. In the days that followed, she dedicated extra time to preparing for the event. Isabel carefully chose an elegant but discreet dress that reflected her professionalism and good taste. She also spent hours reviewing information about the shareholders, their histories, and interests, preparing for any conversation that might arise. Meanwhile, her feelings were mixed. Part of her was anxious about the possibility of being publicly humiliated, but another part was determined to turn the situation into an opportunity to stand out and show her true value. Isabel knew this could be a chance to turn the tables in her favor. Parallel to the preparations for the dinner, Clara's company was facing a serious problem. The recent launch of an innovative product, which was supposed to consolidate the company's market position, had been a failure. Technical issues and negative user reviews had resulted in a significant drop in the company's stock. The shareholders were restless, demanding explanations. Clara was under pressure to present a convincing recovery plan. During the week, she attended several crisis meetings with her executive team, trying to find a solution. There were heated discussions about cost-cutting, restructuring, and new marketing strategies. Although Isabel was not directly involved in these meetings, she was aware of the growing tension and the difficult decisions that were coming. This charged atmosphere added an extra layer of tension to the dinner. Clara saw the event as an opportunity to appease the shareholders, show leadership, and possibly divert attention from the company's problems by using Isabel as a scapegoat. Isabel, however, was determined not to let that happen. On Friday night, Isabel arrived at La Belle Époque with plenty of time to spare. The restaurant, known for its elegance and exclusivity, was filled with a sophisticated clientele. Isabel entered with confidence, although her heart was racing. She was led to a private table where Clara was already seated, surrounded by some of the most influential shareholders. The evening was about to begin, and both sides were prepared for what promised to be an encounter full of surprises and revelations. In the days leading up to the dinner, Isabel Ferreira meticulously dedicated herself to the preparations. She knew every detail would be crucial to impress and possibly disarm any attempt at humiliation from Clara. At home, Isabel spent hours choosing the perfect dress. An elegant black silk dress, simple but sophisticated, reflecting her professionalism and good taste. She selected discreet but high-quality accessories that added a touch of class without drawing too much attention. On the morning of the dinner, Isabel arrived at the office earlier than usual. Her usual calm hid the determination growing inside her. As she organized documents for Clara, colleagues passed by her desk, some casting curious glances, others offering words of encouragement. "Isabel, I heard you're going to dinner with Clara tonight," commented Anna, a colleague from the marketing team. "Are you ready to face the sharks?" Isabel smiled, revealing little. "Yes, Anna. I'll be there to support Clara and represent our work." There was something in Isabel's look that intrigued Anna, as if there was much more beneath her calm and professional surface. "I'm sure you'll do great. You always seem to know exactly what to do." "Thank you, Anna. I just do my job as best I can," Isabel replied, leaving a hint of mystery in the air. La Belle Époque, situated in the heart of the city, was one of the most exclusive and renowned restaurants, famous for its opulence and refinement. On the night of the dinner, the setting was impeccably prepared. The main hall exuded an old-world charm combined with modern touches. Crystal chandeliers hung from the high ceiling, casting a warm and soft glow over tables elegantly set with white linen and silverware. The walls were adorned with gilded mirrors and classic artworks, creating a timeless, luxurious atmosphere. Elaborate floral arrangements added color and fragrance to each table. The waiters, dressed in immaculate uniforms, moved with grace and precision, attending to the clients' needs effortlessly. The dinner was being held in a private room, even more luxurious and isolated from the rest of the restaurant, ensuring privacy and exclusivity. The room was decorated with dark wood panels, velvet upholstery, and a large Persian rug covering the floor. A large oval table dominated the center of the room, surrounded by soft leather chairs. When Isabel entered the private room, she was greeted by a lively conversation and polite laughter. Clara was at the center of attention, laughing and chatting with a group of senior shareholders. Next to Clara was Ricardo Almeida, a middle-aged man with gray hair and an authoritative stance. Ricardo was known for his crucial role in the company's finances, a pragmatic man of few words, but with considerable influence over strategic decisions. Sitting to Clara's right was Sofia Mendez, a young and ambitious executive responsible for the company's global marketing. Sofia had a shrewd look and a smile that rarely reached her eyes, always analyzing the movements around her. She was seen as a potential successor to Clara, but her loyalty was often questioned. On the other side of the table was Eduardo Fonseca, a veteran in the tech sector and one of the company's early investors. Eduardo was an affable man with a keen eye and an easy laugh. Despite his laid-back demeanor, he had a sharp mind for business and a subtle but significant influence over the other shareholders. As Isabel approached the table, Clara raised her hand, signaling to the others. "Ah, here is our Isabel," Clara said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Gentlemen, this is Isabel Ferreira, my secretary who has kindly agreed to join us tonight." Isabel smiled and greeted the attendees, maintaining a calm and confident demeanor. "It's a pleasure to meet you," she said, looking directly into each person's eyes, recognizing the power dynamics at play. The dinner was about to start, and the tension in the air was palpable. Isabel knew she had to be prepared for anything, while Clara and the shareholders had their own agendas for the night. The dinner began with a toast from Clara, who raised her champagne glass and gave a speech about perseverance and innovation. The attendees applauded politely while Clara maintained her cold and calculated gaze. Isabel, seated at the far end of the table, watched everything closely. As the main courses were served, Clara began steering the conversation towards high-level topics, clearly testing Isabel's competence and knowledge in front of the shareholders. The billionaire chose subjects like mergers and acquisitions, market strategies, and emerging technologies, topics she knew Isabel would struggle to discuss without deep knowledge. "So, Isabel," Clara said with a condescending smile, "what do you think of the recent acquisition of NXT Corp? Do you believe it will strengthen our position in the European market?" Isabel, feeling everyone's eyes on her, responded calmly, "The acquisition of NXT Corp is an important strategic move, especially due to its robust portfolio of emerging technologies. However, Cultural integration will be crucial to ensure the expected synergies are realized. Clara raised an eyebrow, surprised by Isabel's well-informed response. Interesting point of view, she said, trying to maintain her composure. The dinner continued, and Clara kept making subtle comments and difficult questions, trying to find a chink in Isabel's armor. Meanwhile, the other shareholders began to notice the tension between the two. Sofia Mendez, always shrewd, decided to join the conversation. Isabel, you seem very well informed about NXT Corporation. May I ask where you acquired this knowledge? It's not common for a secretary to have such a deep understanding of mergers and acquisitions. Isabel maintained her serene smile. Thank you, Sofia. I always found it important to stay updated on major market movements, especially when working so closely with Ms. Montero. Ricardo Almeida, who had been silently observing, intervened. Clara, it seems you have an exceptional secretary. Maybe you should consider involving her more in strategic discussions. Clara smiled, but there was a cold glint in her eyes. Yes, Ricardo, Isabel is quite competent in her functions. But let's be realistic, she still has a lot to learn about the complexities of our business. As the dinner progressed, Clara began to intensify her attempts at humiliation. At one point, she asked Isabel about a complex report, hoping to catch her off guard. Isabel, could you explain the details of the latest financial performance report? I'm sure you've reviewed it recently. Isabel felt a lump in her throat, but kept her composure. Of course, Ms. Montero. The report indicates a 5% increase in quarterly revenues, mainly driven by sales in the Asian market. However, there's also a growing concern with operational costs, which have risen by 3%, affecting our profit margin. Clara didn't miss the opportunity to press further. Interesting, Isabel. And what would you suggest to reduce these costs? For a brief moment, Isabel hesitated, revealing a vulnerability she hadn't shown until then. She knew Clara was trying to expose her. Taking a sip of water to buy time, Isabel responded in a firm but slightly softer voice. I believe a review of our logistics operations could identify areas of inefficiency. We could also consider renegotiating contracts with suppliers for better terms. Naturally, these are just preliminary suggestions that would need a more detailed analysis. The response, though solid, made it clear that Isabel was under intense pressure. Eduardo Fonseca, sensing the situation, intervened with a conciliatory tone. Isabel, your suggestions are valid. I believe any analysis should be done carefully. Clara, it seems Isabel has a good understanding of our operations. Maybe we should listen to more of her ideas. Clara, frustrated at not being able to destabilize Isabel, changed tactics. Of course, Eduardo. Isabel is a good employee, but we need specialists to handle such critical issues. The other shareholders, observing the interaction, began to notice the power dynamics at play. Sympathy for Isabel grew as it became clear she was being publicly tested. Sofia, always strategic, noticed that Clara's approach was starting to have the opposite effect, gaining sympathy for Isabel. Clara, maybe we're being too hard on Isabel, Sofia said. She's doing an excellent job answering complex questions. We should recognize that. Ricardo nodded in agreement. I agree, Sofia. Isabel, you've shown an impressive understanding of our challenges. Keep it up. Clara, while maintaining an appearance of control, felt her frustration growing. Isabel, on the other hand, felt a mix of relief and determination. She knew she had passed the initial test, but the night was far from over. The shareholders' eyes were now on her, not as a secretary, but as a figure worthy of respect and consideration. The dynamics of the dinner were changing, and Isabel was ready to face any other challenge Clara might throw her way. As dessert was served, Clara Montero stood up again, raising her glass for another toast. Thank you all for being here tonight. Our success is a joint effort, and each of you plays a crucial role. However, I believe it's time to take a pause and hear from someone who has been a silent but significant part of our progress. All eyes turned to Clara with curiosity. She smiled and looked directly at Isabel. Isabel, you mentioned having ideas on how to improve our operations. Would you like to share them with us? Isabel stood up slowly, with calm confidence. Of course, Ms. Montero. She paused, looking around at the faces. But first, there's something everyone here needs to know." There was a murmur of curiosity in the room. Isabel took a deep breath and continued. "Over the past few years, I've worked closely with Ms. Montero, learning and observing. What many of you don't know is that before joining this company, I was deeply involved in the business world." She looked directly at Clara, whose eyes were now narrowed with suspicion. "In fact, I'm one of the senior shareholders of this company, operating anonymously until now." The room fell silent for a moment, then exploded with murmurs and exclamations. Ricardo Almeida looked shocked, his face a mask of surprise. "What are you saying, Isabel? You're one of the senior shareholders?" Sofia Mendez looked at Isabel with a mixture of surprise and newfound respect. "How is this possible? How did we never know?" Eduardo Fonseca, who always had a keen instinct for people, smiled with admiration. "I knew there was more to you, Isabel. You always had a strong presence and a clear understanding of business." Clara, on the other hand, was furious. She struggled to maintain her composure, but the anger was evident in her eyes. "Is this a joke? You've been my secretary all this time and never mentioned being a shareholder?" Isabel kept her calm posture. "It's not a joke, Ms. Montero. My intention was to understand the company from the inside out, to see how operations really work and what challenges are faced at all levels. I believe this deep knowledge is essential for any shareholder who truly cares about the future of the company." Isabel then began tying up the loose ends of her story, revealing details that had been carefully planted over time. "Before joining here, I founded and sold a tech company, which provided me with the capital to invest in this company. I decided to become an anonymous shareholder to avoid any special treatment and to truly understand the needs and culture of this organization." She continued, with the shareholders listening attentively. "When I became a shareholder, I used a pseudonym and hired intermediaries to handle my transactions. My goal was to gain an impartial and honest view of the company's operations. Working as a secretary allowed me to observe daily operations, interact with the team, and understand the real concerns of the employees." Ricardo, still stunned, asked, "And why reveal this now?" Isabel smiled slightly. "Because I believe it's time to use our full potential to overcome the challenges we're facing. I'm ready to contribute in a more direct and visible way. I have ideas and plans that I believe can help us reverse the recent downturn and put the company back on the path to growth." Isabel's revelation created a shock, but also a newfound respect among the shareholders. They began to see Isabel not as a mere secretary, but as a strategic and essential figure for the company's future. Sofia was the first to speak up. "Well, Isabel, I must admit I'm impressed. Your ideas and approach are exactly what we need right now. I look forward to working more closely with you." Eduardo nodded. "I agree. This company needs people who understand all levels of operation. Isabel, you've shown that you have that understanding. Let's hear your proposals." Clara, still struggling to control her anger, realized the dynamics had shifted. The shareholders were now siding with Isabel. "Very well," she said finally with a forced smile. "It seems we have a lot to discuss." Isabel took her seat again, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. The evening had taken an unexpected turn, but she was ready to lead the company into a new chapter. The revelation of her true identity not only surprised those present, but also solidified her position as a respected and vital leader for the company's future. After Isabel's bombshell revelation, the dinner took on a tense and charged atmosphere. Clara Montero, still furious and feeling betrayed, decided to confront Isabel directly. She stood up, her posture rigid and her glare intense. "Isabel," Clara began, her voice dripping with sarcasm and frustration. "Or should I say, Ms. Ferreira, how dare you deceive us all this time, working in the shadows while letting us believe you were just a secretary?" Isabel, maintaining her characteristic calm, stood to face Clara. "Ms. Montero, it was never my intention to deceive anyone. My goal was to understand the company from the inside out, without the barriers that a shareholder's position might create. I thought it would be the best way to truly know the people and processes that make this company function." Clara laughed bitterly. "To know the company? Or was it just a way to spy on me? To prepare to take my place?" Isabel responded firmly, but without losing her composure. "I have always been loyal to the company, Clara. My position as a secretary allowed me to see flaws and opportunities that might have gone unnoticed. Everything I did was for the good of the company. Clara took a step forward, pointing accusingly at Isabel. Do you think you can just show up here, reveal your true identity, and expect everyone to accept you? You know nothing about the true sacrifice and hard work this job demands. At that moment, Ricardo Almeida, who had remained silent while processing the revelation, stood up. Clara, Isabel has shown a level of commitment that many of us have never demonstrated. She chose to work in the trenches, where the real battle happens. That, to me, is admirable. Sofia Mendez, standing next to Ricardo, nodded vigorously. I agree with Ricardo. Isabel has brought a unique and valuable perspective. Her experience at different levels of the company is something we should value, not criticize. Eduardo Fonseca, always the most measured in the group, also intervened. Clara, we all recognize your crucial role in the company's growth, but we also need to acknowledge when new ideas and approaches are necessary. Isabel has proven her worth in a way that few have. Clara, feeling the support of the shareholders slipping away from her and toward Isabel, made one last attempt. Do you really believe someone who hid her true identity can be trusted? How do we know Isabel doesn't have other hidden agendas? At that moment, Isabel stepped forward, her expression serious. Ms. Montero, if we're going to talk about hidden agendas, perhaps we should discuss some personal issues affecting your leadership. The room fell into absolute silence. Clara went pale but maintained her defiant posture. And what exactly are you insinuating, Isabel? Isabel held her gaze firmly. The pressure on the company has been immense, and we all know that. But your recent erratic behaviors and questionable decisions have raised concerns. I know your divorce and problems with your children have been a heavy burden. This doesn't diminish your success, but perhaps it's time to consider a more collaborative approach to leading the company. Clara trembled with rage and pain. You know nothing about what I'm going through. Ricardo intervened again, this time with a gentler tone. Clara, we're all under pressure. No one here wants to see you fail. Maybe it's time to share the burden and work together to find solutions. Isabel can be the ally you need, not your enemy. Sofia, always pragmatic, added, we need strong and united leadership now more than ever. Clara, you have always been our leader, but no one can carry this burden alone forever. Clara, realizing she had lost control of the situation and that her behavior had alienated the shareholders, sighed deeply. She knew she needed to change her approach if she wanted to save the company and her position. Maybe you're right, Clara said finally, her voice softer and resigned. I've been struggling with many personal issues that have affected my judgment. Isabel, if you're really here to help, then let's work together. Isabel nodded, offering a compassionate smile. I'm here to contribute to the company's success, Clara. Let's face these challenges together. The shareholders, relieved by the resolution of the conflict, toasted the new alliance. The dinner that began with tension and confrontations ended with a renewed sense of collaboration and hope. Despite initial tensions, Clara and Isabel recognized that together, they could take the company to new heights. The shareholders' support for Isabel and Clara's willingness to accept help marked the beginning of a new chapter for the company, with stronger and more unified leadership. After the dinner, Isabel's revelation as a senior shareholder radically transformed her position in the company. Although initially reluctant, Clara decided to appoint Isabel as Chief Operating Officer, a role that reflected her deep knowledge of internal operations and her commitment to the company. Now in a more prominent position, Isabel began implementing significant changes. She organized regular meetings with all teams, encouraging more open and direct communication. Her collaborative approach quickly generated positive results. Employees at all levels felt more valued and motivated, knowing their opinions were heard. Isabel also introduced training and development programs to help the team adapt to new technologies and methodologies. She established partnerships with other tech companies to explore innovations that could be integrated into the company's products, helping to restore investor confidence and strengthen the company's market position. Clara went through a period of intense self-reflection after the dinner. She realized that her arrogance and ruthless approach were driving away valuable people and potentially putting the company at risk. Gradually, Clara began to delegate more responsibilities, trusting her team and accepting advice and suggestions. In a meeting with the board of directors, Clara acknowledged her faults and expressed her commitment to working more collaboratively. "I've learned that true power doesn't lie in controlling everything alone, but in trusting and empowering those around us," she said, earning renewed respect from her colleagues. Isabel reflected on her journey from the start at the company. "I've always believed that to lead effectively, you need to understand every aspect of the organization," she said in an interview with a business magazine. "My experience as a secretary gave me invaluable insights that I can now apply to make a real difference." With Isabel in her new position, the company began to thrive again. Recovering from the recent financial crisis was just the beginning. Isabel and Clara, now working as a cohesive team, led the company to launch a series of new innovative products that gained global acclaim. One of the new alliances formed was with an emerging biotech company led by a brilliant young scientist named Dr. Ana Rodriguez. Isabel saw the potential in Ana's technology to revolutionize digital health, and together, they forged a partnership that promised to take both companies to new heights. Learning from her experiences, Clara began mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing her lessons on leadership and resilience. Isabel, in turn, became an active voice in promoting inclusive and collaborative work environments, speaking at conferences and writing articles about the importance of conscious and empathetic leadership. The story of Clara and Isabel resonates with a powerful message about the importance of humility, collaboration, and valuing every voice within an organization. Clara learned that true leadership is not about controlling everything but inspiring and empowering others. Isabel showed that, regardless of one's position, everyone can make a significant difference. This narrative highlights the importance of recognizing the inherent value in each individual and the strength that comes from working together towards a common goal. For the audience, Clara and Isabel's story serves as an inspiring reminder that the greatest transformations and successes often come from moments of vulnerability and genuine collaboration. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support is essential to us. And now, an exciting new story is coming up on your screen.